Welcome to Poland Daily News. My name is Aleksander Wierzejski. The management of public media is being discussed in the Sejm as the new government wants to pass a resolution calling on the authorities to remove the current management of Polskie Radio, Polish Television and Polish Press Agency. Opposition politicians emphasize that such a resolution cannot overrule statutory regulations. Łukasz Żmuda has more from the Sejm.
The draft resolution regarding public media was submitted by a group of MPs from the Civic Coalition, Poland 2050, the Left and the Polish People's Party. Resolution of the Sejm on the restoration of legal order and impartiality and reliability of the public media and the Polish Press Agency. The Sejm calls on all state authorities of the Republic of Poland to immediately take action aimed at restoring constitutional order in terms of citizens' access to reliable information and the functioning of public media, as well as in terms of independence, objectivity and pluralism of the implementation of the public mission by public radio and television, and also in the scope of obtaining and transmitting information by the Polish Press Agency. Sejm calls in particular on the state treasury, represented by the ownership body of companies implementing the public mission of radio and television broadcasting, and the Polish Press Agency to take immediate corrective actions to achieve the objectives set out in this resolution and ensure the proper functioning of the public radio and television broadcasting units and the Polish Press Agency in accordance with the standards of the rule of law during the transitional period. An example, until the adoption of implementation of appropriate legislative solutions. The resolution is to call to people and institutions to have such an opportunity, and the decision will immediately have a practical dimension. In connection with the proceedings of the bill in the Sejm, President Andrzej Duda sent a letter to the Speaker of the Sejm. The role of public media in democratic state is very important because it is a part of the freedom to express one's view and obtain and disseminate information. It should be taken into consideration that social assessment of the activities of public media is varied. Without questioning the right to introduce changes in the legal system by the parliamentary majority, it should be emphasized that a political goal cannot constitute an excuse for violating or circumventing constitutional and statutory regulations. All public authorities are obliged to act on the basis and within the limits of the law. The first reading of the draft resolution took place in the lower house of parliament. Parliamentary clubs and parliamentary groups made statements. Members of the new parliamentary majority say they would like to liquidate the National Media Council established in 2016. It is supposed to be an element of the so-called healing of public media. The National Media Council from its beginning was a political creation. Public media should look at the entire reality around them. I raised an objection myself because the media called me an idiot on air. The parliamentary majority questions the constitutionality of the National Media Council because of the judgment of the Constitutional Tribunal from 2016. At that time, the tribunal was held by Andrzej Rzepliński. However, the judgment referred only to certain provisions of the Broadcasting Act. It did not refer to the strict sense to the act establishing the National Media Council. If this attack is to be carried out by the way of resolution, in example a legal act that's not a source of applicable law, it is similar to the situation when a municipal council wants to change laws passed by the Sejm. This is absurd and completely unconstitutional, contrary to the Act on the National Media Council, which has been passed and it's in force. Changes in public television may be delayed by the Protective Act issued by the Constitutional Tribunal. The act obliges the state treasury to refrain from activities aimed at liquidating or changing public radio and television companies. In connection with the resolution passed in the Sejm, the Management Board of the Polish Press Agency issued a call for a stop to the violation of the company's legal rights. The document was received by the Chancellor of the Sejm and the President, the Ministry of Culture and the National Media Council. An attempt to liquidate the media through a resolution or by encouraging them to do so is a great scandal and a violation of freedom of speech.
The Polish budget deficit for 2024 will come to 184 billion Polish zlotys, the finance minister announced on Tuesday. According to Andrzej Domański, budgeted expenditure for 2024 is 866 billion Polish zlotys and revenue estimated at 682 billion Polish zlotys, which means a budget deficit of 184 billion. That's about 20 billion more than the budget prepared by the previous government.
In the 2024 budget, we have provided funds to increase teachers' average salaries by 30%, and in the case of teachers just starting, by 33%. And we have also remembered preschool teachers, and here there is an additional 2.3 billion Polish zlotys of preschool subsidies for local governments for increases in kindergartens. The expenditure for 2024 is planned to be 866 billion Polish zlotys, and revenue is estimated at 682 billion Polish zlotys, which means a budget deficit of 184 billion. It's a two-pocket budget. They put in one and take it out from the another. They give it to few and take from all. Several percent of Polish employees are to receive raises in one pocket, and in the other, for all Poles, money will be taken out through, among others, liquidation of the energy shield in the second half of the year. The budget includes an increase in the prices of electricity, gas, heating, and food from July. And as for the deficit, back in September, 164 billion Polish zlotys was supposed to be a disaster, the end of Poland, putting Poles in debt. Now the deficit of over 184 billion is no longer a problem. Hypocrisy has reached the peaks of the Himalayas. We have left public finances in good shape, so now we can finance projects. 800 plus armaments, free motorways, 13 and 14 pensions, anti-crisis shields on 0% VAT on food, increases for the public sector and for the teachers.
CIA Director William Burns met the director of Israel's Mossad and Qatari officials in Warsaw, Poland, to discuss restarting negotiations on freeing hostages held by Hamas. More than 100 hostages remain who have been held by Hamas since their October 7 attack on Israel. Israel and Hamas paused fighting in November as the two sides exchanged prisoners, which led to the release of 105 hostages held by Hamas and approximately 240 Palestinian prisoners held by Israel.
A ceasefire was recognized during the hostage releases and was extended as the two sides negotiating subsequent releases. This also allowed a surge of humanitarian support into the beleaguered Gaza Strip, where Israel has launched a military campaign in response to the October 7th attack. Israel and the US blame Hamas for violating the earlier agreement that had paused fighting. That agreement ended on December 1st. Israel, backed by the US, says Hamas has held back releasing Israeli women in violation of the agreement. Israel restarted its military campaign at that point and expanded its operation from the north by the territory to the south. The fate of Israeli hostages is fraught international issues. The majority of Israelis supported the Israeli government decision to enter into the first agreement for a temporary ceasefire to allow the release of women and children held captive by Hamas in exchange for the release of Palestinian prisoners, according to a survey by the Israeli Democracy Institute published at the beginning of December.
Serbia's ruling populists insisted on Tuesday that weekend-snap parliamentary elections were free and fair, despite criticism from international observers who noted multiple irregularities during the vote on the Balkan nation that is a candidate for the European Union membership.
Vučić said an alliance headed by SNS Serbia Must Not Stop would hold a majority in parliament, and there was already important work to do on the day after the election. Based on votes counted in samples of polling station, pollster Ipsos and CESID predicted the populist SNS won 46.2% of votes, while the opposition center-left Serbia Against Violence alliance is set to come second with 23.2%. The preliminary vote count suggested SNS will have a slim majority of at least 127 deputies, enough to rule alone. But it is expected to seek coalition partners to cement the dominance of parliament.
Lista Srbija ne sme da stane, imaće svakako više od 120.
The Serbia Must Not Stop list will certainly have more 128 mandates. We don't know whether it will be 128, 129 or 130. The result of this election is that one list, Serbia Must Not Stop, will have an absolute majority. From tomorrow, we already have to start doing important work. I can't say we lost these 2 months, because it was a part of an important democratic process. But we have to devote ourselves to the country, the progress of the country, and the continued progress of our citizens. Whenever they write you off, fight even harder. In this campaign, I didn't just give all of myself, but I think more than I could have done, no matter how nonsensical it sounds.
That's it for now. Stay with us for more features and don't forget to tune in tomorrow, same time.